about that. Yeah, you've been hearing about the clashes fights in Congo, right? Until all their peacekeepers, the government forces, until they started fleeing, which now gave the M23 an advantage over the combination of the United Nations, these UN forces, peacekeepers, South African forces, the government forces, and some other mercenaries they put in that place. Now, it means that all of those forces have been defeated, finally. So, which makes it more like the M23 is now in the position of strength, right? However, the United States of America, their own reaction. Listen to this.
The United States commends the MONUSCO leadership for taking such robust steps to defend Sake and Goma from Rwanda and M23's advances. We express our deepest condolences to the families of all of the peacekeepers lost during these attacks, and we commend all MONUSCO personnel for their bravery in protecting civilians during this ongoing assault. Rwanda's use of advanced weaponry and systems, including GPS jamming and spoofing, have interfered with the humanitarian response, endangered MONUSCO, and continue to endanger those fleeing from the violence. These actions must stop immediately. The indiscriminate use of artillery has endangered civilians, with bombs falling on and near IDP sites. Congolese and Rwandan leadership, as well as leaders of the M23 and other armed groups, must issue clear orders not to target civilians and to respect the civilian character of IDP sites. Colleagues, there is no military solution to the conflict in eastern DRC. To achieve a durable peace, all parties must honor their commitments to the Luanda process and the terms laid out by Angolan President Lorenzo, and return to the negotiating table. We call for the swift operationalization of the reinforced ad hoc verification mechanism. We also support the efforts of former President Kenyatta to mediate with M23. All sides of this conflict must respect the ceasefire in place since August and act swiftly to end this fighting. We call on all partners in the Great Lakes region to use the diplomatic tools at their disposal to reinforce this message. All actors must also respect the sovereignty and territorial integrity of the DRC and put an end to all forms of support to armed groups, whether Congolese or foreign. All parties must uphold human rights and international humanitarian law and ensure immediate and unfettered access to populations in need of humanitarian assistance. The United States remains alarmed by the findings of the recent report of the UN group of experts detailing the consolidation.
No. Yeah, you're right. Like, they are all speaking up right now, and their anger is not towards the M23. It is all going to be channeled towards Paul Kagame. Is the key player, according to them, is being the key player that is backing the M23. And yeah, now that they have the upper hand, they are not going to cease any fire. Yeah, they're not. United Kingdom, their own reaction.
The UK once again condemns the violent actions of all armed groups, including FDLR and M23. We are deeply concerned by the scale and pace of recent M23 and Rwandan Defence Forces advances in eastern DRC. We are also deeply alarmed by M23's declaration that they intend to take Goma, a city where the humanitarian situation is already catastrophic. This morning, the UK Foreign Secretary spoke with President Kagame and called for urgent de-escalation, outlining the need for Rwanda and DRC to urgently return to the negotiating table. Now more than ever, it is critical that MONUSCO is able to deliver its mandate. M23 attacks on peacekeepers, with support from the RDF, must stop immediately. These attacks prevent the force from being able to discharge its Security Council mandated mission to protect civilians. Rwandan spoofing and jamming of GPS signals, which obstruct UN and humanitarian operations, must also stop. There can be no military solution. Fighting must stop, civilians must be protected, and the parties should engage in good faith in the political process.
Not military solution. So I don't really know what they are proposing. If the people of a region feel so marginalized and they have been subjected to all kinds of ethnic cleansing and brutality, while their resources are being carted away by different parties. So what is that offer on the table? I have tried to read a lot about the entire situation. And I figured out that, you see, majority of those who are speaking up against the civilian casualties and the rest of that from outside the Congo, they have ignored the fact that those they call the peacekeepers have been accused of committing humanitarian crimes like attacks and killings, rape, and what have you, against the civilians. The government forces, especially the Congolese forces themselves, they have been accused of carrying out extrajudicial killings, torture of civilians suspected to have been, according to them, supporting the M23. So humanitarian crisis in the eastern part of the Congo is as old as the crisis itself. So ceasefire that was put in place in August and the negotiation between that August and December has yielded nothing positive, nothing progressive. So yes, Kagame is not hiding it. His interest is, according to them, is to protect the interest of the Tutsis who are trapped. It's like saying we have a Yoruba nation, not part of Nigeria, right? And then the Yorubas in Togo, the Yorubas in Benin Republic have been subjected to some level of ethnic cleansing by the rest of these countries, right? And then the leader of the Yoruba nation decided to use the resources at his own disposal to support the Yorubas or the fighting Yoruba forces in these countries. And they will call them rebels. They will call them names, terrorists and what have you. That's what is likely playing out in this Congo, Rwanda. So Congo believes that they have the right to deal with the people in their own country that they suspected to be enemies of the country, even though their fight is the fight against the oppression, against discrimination. You know what I mean? Like, you are taking our resources and you are treating our people like a piece of shit, right? So they form armed group to decide to start fighting the government, and then they got the support from the neighboring country. This is the whole picture. So Congo is angry at Rwanda. Like, how dare you be supporting these people? That is interfering in our own internal affairs. So Congo reported Rwanda to the rest of the world. United Nations Security Council warned Congo. Congo is warn Rwanda. Rwanda has been like encouraging these rebels who are trying to stop the exploitation of the Eastern Congo. And it is this Kagame that is giving them liver, giving them confidence. He is the one training them, giving them weapons. So it's like reporting Rwanda to United Nations. Meanwhile, Kagame is pretty much like, well, fine. You cannot get away with killing the Tutsis who are supposed to be Rwandans. You see the complication there, right? So the Koreans, they are more interested in the mining, the mine workers because they have the mining companies and what have you they have in the eastern part of Congo as well. There's one of them, very popular one called, I want to get the name because you know they speak French. MONUSCO. It's called MONUSCO. So the Congo, the Koreans were more interested in getting all the, the workers, the staff of all these mining companies or mine companies, right, out of Congo. And they did kind of manage to get some of them out in this short clip, right? When they started packing and when they arrived at another city after they left Goma.
The safety and security of peacekeepers must be upheld as a requisite priority in carrying out their mandates. In this light, we strongly condemn the attacks against the positions and bases of MONUSCO and the Sami DRC, which have already resulted in numerous casualties. The safety and security of peacekeepers must be upheld.
So, indeed, there are peacekeepers who have lost their lives. And yeah, the situation is currently tense, even though the M23 rebels have the upper hand right now. Okay, the government is retreating. Some of other forces there are retreating. And there may be an attempt of retaking Goma or to stop the advancement of the rebels to other cities. Meanwhile, the rebels themselves have already alerted the people that their destination is actually the capital, that they will capture the president who has been behind the ethnic cleansing, the corruption, the rotten system. But I saw a video, it's because it is not in English. That's why I didn't share the video with you. I saw a video of a minister that was actually inciting people. Inciting people is like let's say a minister in Nigeria, right? Speaking to some people by calling the Southerners, for example, right? Calling them like horrible names, right? And then encouraging these Northerners, right? Wherever they see these Southerners, they should finish them. How many are they? What do they have? They are just little. They are subhumans. They are worthless. You know what I mean? How dare them pick up arms to fight government? So we must finish them. A minister in Congo was actually addressing his own fellow Northerners, you know, inciting them against the Easterners. So it is that bad. So they are saying their final destination is to take over the capital and capture the president and his cabinet members. And that is not really looking good. It is not. So presently, except for the 13 fighters, including peacekeepers, that got killed, there's not been any civilian casualty. There's not been any reported attacks on civilians. There's been none. But like I said, the situation is still tense. So here is a release, you know, by the, from the president of, the foreign affairs, what do you call it, of Rwanda, a statement. My time is so fast spent, so I'm just going to leave this on for some of you to read, okay? And just a brief, briefly, okay? And Kagame, the founder of M23, right? Is not like, is not ashamed of it. He believes that it was his M23 that liberated Rwanda, and the same will liberate Congo in his, in his own belief, right? So I want to take calls so that we have the reactions of the people. I will leave the rest of what I have here to what I have to share here. I will leave the rest for some other time. Okay. So I'm going to say thank you so much for listening. Right. If you have anything you want to add to this, so that we can hear you, that will be the moment I come back from this break. But if you have to go, remember, just like the broadcast, okay? Like it and share it if you haven't already. But if you have something to add to this, the line to call is right here on your screen. It is a WhatsApp call only. I'll be back in a minute. Thank you. So I have my first caller this evening. Are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Mama, good evening.
Baba, good evening. How are you, Baba?
I'm very, very fine. And first of all, hope the weather in Scotland was favorable. You know, we saw the flood from here. Those of us in England, hope it did not disturb you too much.
Well, I mean, we are fine. I hope you are all fine too, because the storm, the wind was so horrible. And that was like, I think it was 3 days ago. But we've recovered from that so far. Mm-hmm.
Oh, thank God.
Thanks so much for asking, though. You're right.
Yeah, I just want to talk on this Congo Rwanda thing. You see, it's still showing us that Africans, we still prefer our ethnic nationality, irrespective of the countries that the Europeans have divided us into. Let's be sincere. In your analysis, you said something. Look, even though I share some Yoruba ancestry, I'm an Eguman, you know.
Bless you, man.
And you said something. Let's assume the Eguns in Republic of Benin starts killing the Yorubas in Republic of Benin. The Yorubas in Nigeria would never be happy. And I'm telling you, the Yorubas in Nigeria will even incite militia groups in Republic of Benin.
You know?
The same thing, when Nigeria wanted to fight Niger, the Hausas in North were not happy.
They were not.
And the Hausas in Niger can never be happy. So if we still look at, I'm a Nigerian, and you are saying that you are against Hausa man, you are against the whole ethnic Hausa population in the whole of Africa. Because if Nigeria start attacking Hausas today, I'm telling you, all the Hausas in the whole of the Sahel region will come and fight on the behalf of the Hausas in what's it called, Nigeria.
Voluntarily.
The same thing will happen if any Yoruba is attacked in the southwest. The whole of Yorubas in that can trace themselves to the Yoruba ancestry will fight anywhere. And I will not be surprised. People as far as Brazil, Cuba will come back to Africa to fight.
Exactly. You will be, I won't be surprised. You're right.
I believe partly what's happening in south of Nigeria today is just because maybe to the east in Cameroon, they don't have major ethnic groups there. Assuming they have sizable number, do you think if the Igbos have sizable population in Cameroon, what's happening to them in Nigeria will happen?